So if I had to have a conversation with my younger self about how do I start a vegetable garden, these are the things I would talk about. But before I got started, I would say, you know what? You're going to make mistakes. This is a learning process. Give yourself some time and be patient. Gardening, if anything else, teaches patience. But let's get started. Where to begin? So let's think about where we're going to put our garden location. Now, what's really important is where the sun is in the garden, because vegetable gardens really want 6+ hours of direct sun a day. Morning or afternoon doesn't really matter. I tend to prefer morning, but I don't think the plants really care as long as they get 6+ hours. The other thing is, I would really suggest putting it pretty close to the house or where you can see it out the back door or maybe the kitchen window, because if you look at it every day, then you're more likely to go tend it. The other thing is, if it's near the house, it's probably within reach of a hose that you can connect to the spigot and get out there and water. It's really important to make it as convenient as it can be for you so that you actually take care of it. And I speak from experience. Years ago, I had a garden that was just a couple miles away, and it was in a perfect location. It got full sun. It was in an old horse pasture, so it was super fertile, and we got it all set up and it looked great. But you know, the fact that it was just a couple miles away, after work in the summer, you come home from work and you're tired, and now you got to get in the car and you got to change your clothes, you got to drive over there and you got to deal with it. And I learned that there are a lot of days you just don't want to do that, and that can make the garden suffer and lead to loss of maintenance. Now, I know some of you may have situations where you don't have the ability to have a garden in your yard. So you may be going to a community garden or perhaps an allotment. And if those are your only choices, then that's fine. You can make it work. But for me, for someone just starting out, I really recommend making it as close to the house as possible. Now, here's something that's really important. I stress to everybody, start small. This can be the biggest killer of vegetable garden dreams that I know about. You know, what you see in my videos, that's what I've been doing for 20 years. So I didn't get here overnight. In fact, my first garden was a 4x7 foot raised bed. And I had it at that size for 2 years while I learned how the seasons work. I learned about frost. I learned about watering. And it took me a while before I started to expand and grow. So don't think you want to start with some Pinterest or TikTok or some social media ready amazing garden and think that you're going to have success with it. You might, but my experience is if you start too big, you have more maintenance. You may forget to get out there and water it. And all of a sudden, come late summer, the garden's looking tired, you're tired, and it just turns to junk, and nobody wants that. Start small, start manageable, learn what you can, and then grow slowly. Gardening is iterative, meaning you keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying. There's always next year. Coming from the Chicago area, that's what they say about the Cubs. Well, it's the same thing they say about gardening. There's always next year. So you want to make a garden, so the question might be, what type? Do you want to put it in the ground? Do you want it in raised beds? Do you want it in containers? And all three of these will work. There's no one right answer for having a vegetable garden. Let's start within the ground. You're using native soil, and that may or may not be a good thing. If your soil lacks organic matter, you're going to be adding compost, and some people used to like to use peat. It takes years to build up native soil in the ground. Raised beds, there you're putting soil into a raised bed and getting it up off the ground. You have a lot more control. It's what I did here in my garden for the very reason that I had like 2 or 3 inches of topsoil and then it went straight to clay. And that's not an ideal growing environment. So by making raised beds, it gave me a better jump start. The last one I want to look at are containers, and containers can be great for people who have mobility issues or may not have the space for a garden. Maybe they just have a little patio. But just keep in mind, containers do require more maintenance. Personally, I have some specialized containers that I use for my eggplants and my tomatoes, and I have to water them every day in the summer. And if I don't, they suffer. So just keep that in mind. So one of the things when you're designing your garden beds is how big to make them. And I would suggest length, you can make them any length that you want that'll fit in your space. But in terms of width, I wouldn't make them any more than 3 or 4 feet wide, which is about halfway reaching in. Any wider than that, you have crops in the middle that you really can't reach, and you don't want to be stepping into your garden beds. You want to let them not have soil compaction. You want to make sure it stays nice and fluffy. So if I'm thinking about 3 to 4 feet wide, think about the size that dimensional lumber comes in. 8-foot length is typical. So if I wanted to start a 4x4 bed, I only need 2 pieces of lumber, cut them in half and make a square, and then I have my first 16 square foot garden. And you can grow a lot of food in 16 square feet. Okay, you've got your garden in the right location, you've got your beds built. What are you going to grow? And this might seem like a no-brainer, but to me, and I fall victim to this myself, grow what you're going to eat. Grow what your family likes to eat. If you like tomatoes, grow tomatoes. If you like peppers, grow peppers. A lot of people start with a salsa garden, which is you're growing onions, tomatoes, peppers, and maybe cilantro if it doesn't taste like soap to you. And you can grow a lot of that in a 4x4 area. Now for me, what I've learned over the years is while Swiss chard, particularly the rainbow variety, is really pretty to look at, I don't eat it as much as I'd like to. So 1 or 2 plants is plenty for me. I also learned the hard way that the wife and I don't need 4 collard green plants, maybe 1. So less of them, but I also have learned I can grow more cabbage because we'll use it up. These are things you learn over the years. Now, thinking about growing things in that space, I also think real estate is important to the point where every plant matters. The last few years I've been growing artichokes, and they are gorgeous and they look great on social media, especially when they send up that blossom. But the fact is they take up a lot of space. And for the number of artichokes that you actually get, it's not worth it to me anymore. So I'm not going to be planting them anymore, even though they're beautiful. I'm just going to grow something else in their place. And let's have a word about watering. Watering trips a lot of people up. A lot of new gardeners, and some that aren't so new, like to go out every day and use the sprayer and water their garden while they're having their cup of coffee. And that's really not the way you want to go. When you're watering, there's a couple things to keep in mind. 1, water the soil, not the foliage. Wetting the foliage unnecessarily can lead to fungal issues and some diseases, so we want to avoid that. We want to water the soil. The other thing is how often and how deep. It's much better to water infrequently and deeply than to water shallow and frequent. The reason is the plant's roots chase the water. And if the water's only in the top layer, that's where the roots are going to be. And what happens when you go on vacation and that top of the soil dries out, and that's where the roots are? The plant's going to have a hard time. If you've been watering infrequently and deeply, the roots go down and chase it, they're going to be more resilient to lack of water over a course of several days, maybe even a week. The rule of thumb is about 1 inch of water per week, and rain counts against that. So if it's rained recently, you got a 1/2 inch of rain, that means you only have to water a 1/2 inch. Okay, makes sense? Let's move on. So let's think about what tools you need now that you know where you're putting your garden, how big it is, and what you're going to grow. Realistically, I would suggest a shovel, a rake, a hand trowel, something to weed with or just use your hands, gloves, stakes and twine to keep your plants supported, and something to water with, whether that's a hose or a watering can. Either one of those will work to get you started. So this is some of the advice I wish I had had when I was first starting out. It would have sped up my development as a vegetable gardener. If this is helpful to you and you want to follow along, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.